dead moon, and the sky streaked with gray.
By the 1980s, Chattanooga was a city in severe decline. For all intents and purposes, it had lost its way.
And I think it's going to rain today.
When I first came to Chattanooga, it was like a smoke town because of the foundries.
Chattanooga was still wrestling with coming out from under the cloud of smoke and ash that had made us the dirtiest city in America.
Chattanooga was in a god-awful spot. It was a foreboding place. Downtown was practically vacant.
There's nobody downtown. The downtown, it was just sort of like the city was rotten from its core, you know.
What mainly Chattanooga looked like was a city that was down on its luck, down on its energy, felt no sense of the future or possibility.
Depressed downtown, dying waterfront, no real sense of community. Chattanooga's future was bleak. But there were a few visionaries who realized that to save their city, the time to act was right now. It was then that Chattanooga Venture was born.
Chattanooga Venture was an organization created to rethink Chattanooga's future at a very critical time in the mid-'80s when Chattanooga was really down and out and hemorrhaging jobs, and we knew something had to be done.
It was a consortium of people who had taken lessons from another community. We were in the habit of making trips to different cities to find out what makes them tick. And the trip to Indianapolis was particularly exciting.
We decided that what we really needed was an organization to implement the lessons we learned there and from other consultants that Lyndhurst had brought to town. So we created Chattanooga Venture, had a large board, 60 people, that's a very large board. But the point was to get as many people in the community involved as possible, from all walks of life. The Moccasin Bend Task Force, under Rick Montague's leadership, had already had a series of public meetings and had come up with the idea of the Riverwalk, and I think the aquarium was on that. Walnut Street Bridge may or may not have been on that, but many of these initiatives were sort of there and people knew they needed to be done, and this kind of gave them the spark.
Chattanooga Venture was an organization that came together to bring people together to see what could we do to make changes in the city of Chattanooga, both physically, environmentally, culturally, whatever it took to lift us up and lift our spirits up, to put us back on the map again.
I think everybody saw Chattanooga Venture as an organization that was trying to do something to make Chattanooga a better place in which to live.
The seminal event was when Jack Lupton took over or inherited his father's foundation and hired Rick Montague and Jack Murrah and said, I don't want to invest in the usual ways. I want to change something.
Those who got Venture started and a couple of thousand people who participated in Vision 2000 set something in motion that transformed the spirit of the community.
Lights will guide you home.
But transforming the community's spirit was no easy task. There had been many years of division, disenchantment, distrust. Those would have to be overcome if their goals were to be achieved.
Chattanooga was a polarized community around every way it could be. City versus county, black versus white, labor versus management, rich versus poor, mountain versus city. And the energy was there, but the energy was unfocused.
Organizations were pretty much isolated one from another. everyone was doing his own thing, and there was no community effort.
We had to change not just the physical environment of Chattanooga. We had to change the cultural environment and the point of view of people as to whether or not Chattanooga had a future.
We felt that if we were really going to change the community, we were going to have to get a lot of people involved and let them collectively come up with a vision. And of course, it was 80s, so it was Vision 2000, of what they thought could be done.
Undertaking a massive visioning process, Chattanooga Venture opened the doors and brought in as many citizens as possible to help build an active planning agenda. Several task forces were created, and Vision 2000, the process that would change the face of Chattanooga, began to take shape.
To me, that was the most impressive thing about this whole process, is that so many people who had small ideas, but to them they were big ideas, and they were willing to come and put them on the table and have them evaluated by everybody else in terms of setting goals and priorities for this community.
Gene Roberts, also the mayor, and he was very helpful and instrumental, mainly because he didn't try to stop it or cause barriers. And he made us feel that we had to do something in order to get the city to do something.
And it was almost as if barriers melted when we came together. People were listening in ways that they had never listened before. And this was in an arena that we had created on the hope that it would work, and it worked far better because people had good will.
It was that goodwill, that unified sense of purpose, which brought about projects that have made Chattanooga what it is today, one of America's most desirable and livable cities.
We put together something called a commitment portfolio, which had a number of initiatives on it, including the aquarium, although it was small cap, the Riverwalk, what became C&E, the Tivoli Restoration, a spouse abuse center, early childhood initiative. It went through a whole range.
Well, the aquarium, of course, was the big winner. Nobody thought it was possible to build an aquarium and have it be an economic generator. And of course, it's completely transformed this end of town.
But I think one of the main things was a return to the river, to come up with some activities, and look what we've done. The River Park, the aquarium, Moccasin Bend being added to the National Park Register, and that is one of the most historic places in the world, Moccasin Bend is.
Things like creating a family violence shelter, which the city did not have up until that time. And one very important element, which did play a crucial role, more than anyone really thought at the time, which was reforming Chattanooga's government.
The other goal was to figure out a way to accentuate the African-American culture in the community, and so the concept of establishing the Bessie Smith Hall and the Bessie Smith Museum emerged out of that process.
There were after-school programs, there were youth programs, there were lots of things that don't get the media attention, but they made a difference to people, and they changed people's lives, and because people were able to act on the things that were important to them, they bought into the whole process.
And changing lives was exactly what this process had achieved. And for all those who played crucial roles in the rebirth of their community, well, they were left with memories that will last a lifetime.
I think the collaborative effort, the creative effort of doing things together and doing them with people who, as I've said, come out of a different life experience is very heartwarming.
One day I was driving across the Veterans Bridge and it was a beautiful day, beautiful sunset, and I was looking out over the scene of the aquarium and the river and the Coolidge Park, etc. And I realized everything I was looking at was new. It had all happened in the span of a few, 20 years. And it was magic. It was a magic moment. It was unbelievable.
To see the citizens of Chattanooga set aside time to go to these meetings and to tell us what they thought, it was heartwarming. And their ideas were so good. Their love for Chattanooga was so real.
Bill Evans was representing organized labor. And to my knowledge, organized labor and the corporate sector in Chattanooga had never come together to benefit the community. And I'll never forget a meeting where we were talking about the aquarium, and after it was over, Bill Evans called me aside and he said, "I want you to level with me, Rick. Who is this place for?" And I said, "Bill, you've heard the presentations, you know who it's for." He said, "No, don't give me a lot of around the bush. Is this place for people like me?" And I said, "Yes, passionately." And he said, "My people are with you."
And it was the people, all the people, who came together to make their voices heard that turned this community around, creating a future full of hope and endless possibilities for this city, their city.
The whole span of venture, I think what it left us with was what we now call the Chattanooga Way. We now believe to accomplish anything positive and for the future, you have to get a lot of people together. And you want to get a lot of people together, and you want to listen to them.
People didn't see their thoughts disappear into some kind of a pile and never to be seen again. They knew exactly what happened to it. So at the end of the process, there was a purity about it.
I don't believe all of this would have happened if any of the main actors had not acted. And by the main actors, I mean the city, the county, and the private organizations like Lyndhurst, all of the foundations in Chattanooga, which is one of our great assets.
So the mystery really is when we look back at how little confusion there was, how little static there was, and really a sense that, you know what, we're all in this together and we can all work together and we're all going to work together. And it would be stretching it to say it was a love-in, but it was pretty damn close.
I see that God used not only me, but many, many other people in this community to make this community a better place in which to live.
And make this community a better place, they did. Those who created and implemented Chattanooga Venture and all the people who participated in Vision 2000 came together not only to make this city a place they are proud to call their home, but also set in motion a visioning process that has served as a model for projects around the world.
So can I drive you to Chattanooga?